Hello and welcome to another edition of Storytelling on Orchard Street. I'm your host, Pete Salamita. We're in the podcast studios of P&T Knitwear Bookstore, which is 180 Orchard Street. It's a great bookstore, lots of great selection of books to peruse and buy if you'd like. And there's a cafe in the back and they have events, so plenty to do here, so check it out. Today in the studio with me is Thomas Fucaloro. He's the winner of numerous grants from the Staten Island Council of the Arts, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, New York City Office for the Prevention of Hate Crimes, and New York City Commission of Human Rights, to name a few. He holds an MFA in creative writing from the New School and is co-founder and editor of Great Weather for Media and NYSAI Press. He is an adjunct professor at Wagner College, BMCC, and CSI, where he teaches various poetry and literature courses. He has also facilitated and shared poetry at the Neon Bronx Prohibition Center, the Positive Health Project, the Acorn Youth Treatment Center, Prison Rights, the Harlem Children's Zone, the Staten Island Urban Center, the Canvas Institute, the Louder Arts, and various libraries across New York City. Welcome to the podcast, Thomas.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Maybe just get a little closer to
Good afternoon. Yes, got to get used to the microphone.
Yes. Well, I'll say how we met. We both did an event for the Italian American Writers Association, and I really enjoyed your poetry. I not only liked the poetry, but I liked your delivery.
Thank you so much. Yes. And that was just such a great space too in Brooklyn.
Yeah,
it was just a great
it was
setting.
It was a really nice event. I love the people at Iowa.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. You live in Staten Island, is that true?
I am from Staten Island.
Yes.
I come from Staten Island.
You still live there? Or?
I still live there.
Okay.
I moved a couple of times. I was born in Brooklyn, but definitely a Staten Islander. Definitely say I'm a native Staten Islander.
Okay. And what was growing up like for you in Staten Island?
It was suburbia.
Right.
Those are my, I like to call them my Kiss days, when I loved the band Kiss. And, that was my world. That was my thinking, I guess.
Right.
And,
So that was your first introduction to, if you want to say, the arts?
The arts, yeah. I mean, there was other things too, but that's a great way of saying that. That was like my first introduction to the arts.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, it was the Beatles.
It was the Beatles.
Yeah, I'm a lot older than you.
Yeah. No, and there was that too, and like the Monkees. Like my mother gave me that, but then my mother also, at a certain point, gave me George Carlin. And that also changed things for me too.
Right. That's a good one to
And gave me a different perspective. Things started changing for me when I went to the College of Staten Island and I got exposed to poetry. I would say probably around like 18, 19 years old, and I discovered E.E. Cummings. And and I'd always been writing, and I don't know if you've asked this question already, but I'm just getting right into it.
I didn't.
I'd always been writing and little poems, and I was in a punk rock band and all that kind of stuff.
As a singer?
As a singer, and so always doing something of writing, but definitely at CSI at that time, discovering poetry and what you can do with it and the elasticness of it, I think changed me and made me want to leave Staten Island.
Right.
And that's when my real, I think, poetry education began.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes, you have CSI, so you're actually a adjunct professor there now.
I am, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It's fantastic. I'm really loving it.
I read this and I was going to ask you what CSI stands for. I'm sure it's
College of Staten Island, yeah.
It nothing to do with criminal...
No, nothing to do with criminal law. Yeah.
Okay.
The poetry of criminology.
So were either of your parents art people, or your mother turned you on to some
people,
music and stuff like that,
but no, they are not in to the arts at all.
Right. Any siblings?
I have a sister.
Right. How about her?
She's a teacher, which I dedefinitely think is an art in and of itself.
Sure.
But she was also a dancer and stuff like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm always curious about that. Like if it's because we're growing up, one of seven, and my parents didn't really listen. I mean, they listened to music very little. There was
Right,
only a few
right.
records they had, and hardly,
Right.
you know, and they weren't really culture people. They were work people.
Well, but it's interesting how what family does, because my parents got divorced when they were 4. So my mother's
Okay.
father moved in with us.
Okay.
So, and he was theater. He was on Broadway for a little. Like he was theater performance.
Oh,
when
see.
when he was in World War II, he like entertained the troops. He
Right.
was that person. Like he
Okay.
was like he wasn't fighting. He was entertaining. He was doing the shows. He was like that person. And like when he moved into our house, into his own small space, I mean, he would, you know, perform. You know, he'd have the old, you know, the old like musical booklets of all like the old shows or old songs that he had written or just covers, and just do that in his room, you know, till old age. And I feel like that, I don't know about you, Pete, you know, that's something I'm doing in my room now, just performing my pieces, trying to get
Right.
them better, editing them.
So he was a big influence.
So
on
he's a
you.
huge influence. So
Right.
I feel like that is where that came from. My father's brother was a performer. You know, I feel like arts hit you when it comes to family. It may
Sure.
not be the direct family,
Right.
but I think there are other sources that, you know, the grapevine, the grape does, you know, doth fall.
Okay. So did you ever do theater?
I've been in a couple of plays, but
Right.
nothing. I remember in the 3rd grade, I did something called Spideroo. And
Okay.
that was my big performance, and wore
And is
like-
there a video?
There is not a video, and my father didn't make it. It was a sad story. It's where the
okay.
trauma begins. And I can't even believe I said that on air. That's how deep it goes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Does that pop into any of your poems? That
No,
that trauma?
but in some therapy sessions. But I got to add it to some poems.
Okay. So you got into poetry more as in college, and then you said after you left. So where did you go after you left college? What did you do?
So I moved into the city. I lived there for 11 to 12 years, and I just got, you know, I did 2 things. I didn't finish at CSI.
Okay.
I went to the New School
I see.
because I was getting into the New York School of Poets.
Okay.
But I also wanted to get into the New York City poetry scene. And
Okay.
I really got my education, I think. Like, the New School was great, and I loved my experience there as an undergrad, but I got my education from the other 4 boroughs. And nothing against Staten Island, just I was learning from all the other scenes, including New Jersey, and just you learn so much from just talking to, like, not only just the art, but, like, you know, conversations like
Sure,
this.
right. And also seeing other people read.
Seeing
and-
other people read, seeing, you know, their experiences, how long they've been on, like, understanding that, and understanding, like, you know, there are different types of poets and artists. Like, you don't have to be the, you know, there's the, you know, like, you know, I'm great. I like where I am as a poet, as an artist. Like, I don't need to strive artistically, but as terms of, like, status, to be where, like, I like where I am like, right now, and that feels great, and like, and I feel like I learned that from all of these, you know, just great, I don't know, just a lot of great lessons from just being on the scene and
Sure.
seeing what people do and how they survive as artists, which feels great.
Do you read often?
I do.
All right.
Yeah.
Where are some of the places you're currently reading at?
Oh, I thought you meant read books often.
No, I mean,
yeah, perform often. I try to. Yeah.
So you're one of the founding editors of Great Weather for Media.
And if you're asking reading tomorrow, I guess I could plug. This isn't going.
No, it's going to take about a week
Yeah,
or so
yeah.
to
So
get
don't
up.
worry about it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
So you were one of the co-founding editors of Great Weather for Media.
Yes, with David Lawton, Jane Ormerod, the late great Brant Lyon. Yes, Mary Slechta, Peter Darrell, George Wallace. So.
I know a few of those people, not all of them.
Yes.
David and George were both on the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever met Jane. I know I've been around her, but I don't think we've ever met.
Yes. So, and that was a great experience. So we were around, I want to say, 11 to 13 years.
Right.
I could be a little off on that.
I was disappointed when the reading stopped because it was a really good one.
Yeah, the open mic, that
Yeah.
was a great thing. I think we had that going for 11 years. I think,
Right. I came in at the tail end.
yeah, I think that was something where COVID kind of like changed things
Right.
At the time. And I think also it's just, how long can something,
Well,
go
it takes
for?
a lot of effort to keep things like that going.
Yeah, that was
somebody
like an
has to
every
take
week
the
thing.
reins
Yeah.
and stick through it.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
I mean, and I do this, and I also do a variety show. So, also, if you do it monthly, or some people do it more than monthly. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep that going.
Organizing is very difficult, and to do it on a consistent
Right.
basis.
Yeah.
And to do it in a way that feels like you're servicing everyone involved,
Right.
including the people who are coming
Right.
to see you. And that's important.
So, so you're on the poetry scene. Were you? Did you get a job as a professor right away, or was there other jobs you had in between?
Oh, no, it took me a long time. Like when I moved, that was around, I want to say, so it was before 9/11, so around 2000.
I see.
So I didn't, I had to do that. I had to do my master's, and the master's didn't happen until like 2013.
I see.
So I've been on the scene for probably about 20 years,
Right.
25 years. So,
So being reading and being on the scene predated the.
yeah, it took me a long
Being
time
as
to
a
get there.
professor. Yeah.
I had like messed up a little. I was an addict for a while, doing stupid things, and I had to move back to Staten Island. My mom took me in, that's when I got my a lot of people don't have that, being able to like go back home, and like I was
It's great to have a
fortunate enough
fallback.
to fall back, and that really helped. And then, so that helped me, and then the goal was to always be able to work with poetry. Like whenever someone asks me, like, do you have any advice, like, to be a poet, obviously there's the artistic satisfaction, but I'm always like, get a job, and get a job that somehow feeds your art, like
Right.
somehow. And I know that's so easier said than done, and sounds so maybe obnoxious.
How many
in its
poets
sounding.
are making a living as a poet, though?
Right.
mean,
But they're teaching. I mean,
Right.
even
Right.
like, so many people, so many people that we read who sell all these books are still are teaching. Like, and it's important that they're
Sure.
doing that.
Right.
But they also need to like pay the rent.
Well,
Like,
I would
it's important.
imagine you're first of all, I'd like to talk about a lot of things you're doing here because some pretty cool things here. But it's probably good for you as a poet to be around other people, even if they're just starting out. You get ideas, and also it must kind of give you motivation too.
Yeah, you learn from them.
It inspires you, right?
You
Like
learn so much from
Right.
Young poets and what they're doing, and how they're organizing their readings,
Sure.
and how they're writing, and how they're using social media, which is such a scary
Well,
thing.
that's a
scary.
big thing now.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah.
That's a good reason. It's good to be around people younger than yourself, but it's also good to be around people of different levels, because somebody might not be, they might be new to poetry, but that doesn't mean, well, I'm new to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So some people like my poetry, but I'm not a studied poet. But it's like I remember, in John Coltrane's biography, he said that somebody asked him what he was listening. I don't know who it was, but he was listening to another sax player, and then they're like, "Why are you listening to that?" And he goes, "You can get good ideas from anybody,
Right.
And somebody might not have the technical aspects down, but there's the feeling, right?
Right.
Because there's more to any kind of art than there's the technical, and then there's the grab you by the soul thing.
Right. I mean, we were just kind of having this conversation yesterday. We did a program with this theater company in Brooklyn called Oye Group, and we did this program called Translating Sonnets, and
Right.
it's where actors and poets, the actors perform these Shakespearean sonnets, and poets respond to them or translate them, or they rewrite them, and it's a really great program. And I think, and going to school and like taking poetry classes, like I feel like there are professors or people who only find that there are only one meaning for a poem. Like there's only one meaning for a poem. Like you can't feel something else in a poem, or a poem can't take you somewhere else. And I think, kind of piggybacking off of what you're saying.
Do you agree to that?
Well, I don't agree to that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So it's almost like they want you to translate a poem into their meaning,
right?
Like what they want, whatever their notes are on their page, and that bothers me a little, because I feel like poems can, there's the poet's meaning, and we can have that conversation, but then let's move it into, well, how can I put my experience in there and get my thing out of it too? And I think, just like what you're saying, like, a poem, a writer who's new to this, or it doesn't have the technical chops, let's call it, but if they're feeling something and it's flowing, that's a whole other thing.
Sure.
And, some people, are like, but how many syllabics does it have?
Right.
Like, or why doesn't it follow this formula? And, I don't subscribe to that, but I also understand the people who write that way, because that's just a different kind of writing. That sometimes they let form dictate feeling, or overcome feeling, and I don't like that.
I got a dumb question. I don't see any poems.
Oh, I know. I have.
Okay.
I brought some.
All right, good. Yeah. Because we've got. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of these other things here, but I think this might be a good time for you to read a poem or two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm talking too much.
No. This is the purpose of being here.
Yeah. Okay.
It's talking, but I also want to hear some of your poetry, and I want the people listening or watching to hear it too.
Sure. All right. So.
By the way, did I say your name right?
Fucaloro.
Okay,
Yes.
Fucaloro.
It's no problem. You can say it any way you'd like to say it. I will start with something. Okay. I'll do this. This is about Staten Island and stuff like that. We are not the forgotten borough. You were just taught not to celebrate all of NYC. I carry my mother everywhere. She brought me here, and I'm bringing her into this poem. Growing up in Staten Island, there is a sense of unbelonging, of the forgotten. The time it takes to be present is often washed by the ocean's wave. But the esplanade of the island reminds me why I do it. Why I reach through the sky to find my mother's voice and roll through it like the ocean. Manhattan and Jersey know. They have nurtured my voice too. The ghosts of all shores finding connectivity through pen. When anxiety is carrying me, I find myself alone in my apartment, overlooking the esplanade, my mother whispering poems through the walls, the cargo boats float by my window, the oil boats, the ghosts, the past, all through my window, and then they start trembling, my interiors start roaring, never feeling like I belonged. Oh, that's because I am a punk mother flower, a child of the forgotten, of divorce, of poetry, of this city, of this flower, of self-harm, of the Hudson River. I am a child in habitual recovery. I step onto the Staten Island ferry, looking for some sense of belonging. What I find are so many stories breathing the same as mine. We are the ferry. We carry us.
Nice. I'm curious, is your mother still with us?
She is not.
I had a
She is
feeling.
not. Yes.
But I didn't ask you that question before, but judging by the poem, I felt like probably not. That's
And I had to say this is part of a project, a map belonging that I did, that I was a part of. So I just want to acknowledge, that.
No, I loved it because I could definitely feel the spirit of your mother in the poem and the description of what it's like to be a Staten Islander. Have you shared that poem with, it's a dumb question, but other poets from Staten Island?
Yes, yeah.
And do they feel it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they enjoy it. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I think they, I mean, I haven't had conversations with them
Right.
about it, but I think they.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I haven't had a lot of experiences on Staten Island. I mean, been there a few times. It feels like, in some ways, it's New York City, but in some ways, it feels like it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely that,
Is it because there's no subway?
it's that, I mean, if you look on the subway map, we're in a box,
Right.
detached.
Yeah.
So it's got.
And you have to take a ferry to get there.
Yeah, so it's got that feeling, and it's just like a very different. It's got a lot of parks. It's
Right.
very naturey. So, and that's not saying the city isn't, because the city has that too. And
No, there's a hiking trail that I was going to take my son to. It was never happened.
Yeah.
But
and there's just a different energy.
so
in the
there's
city.
a lot of like that.
Yeah.
Is beauty, right? It's really,
it's beautiful, and,
Right.
and the people are great, but there's also a different energy there.
Right.
There's a lot of, and I don't want to get political and all that, but there is the other side of Staten Island that's very, like very Trump, and
Right.
and that part is, and again, if you look, all the boroughs have that.
sure.
But
Well, the sections,
but
some
it's
places more
clustered.
so.
But
Others.
it's clustered,
Right.
and it's and again, I'm not trying to put down people, but it's just, you can feel it in a lot of ways, and that's a disheartening thing.
Right.
So yeah.
So some of these things I would love to hear more about,
Sure.
Like prison rights, for instance.
Yeah, so that was just a great program working with youth who are incarcerated.
When you say youth, like what age? range?
So, I mean, I don't want to talk, huge much about it, but like youth who are within, like, I would say like
teens.
teens.
Yeah, teens. Yeah. Right.
But like there are a couple of things in there I wouldn't talk like a huge much about, but they were doing good work. I don't know if they are still around, but that was a really it was a good experience.
Yeah. So just talk about any of these things that you listed here that really are you still involved with any of these, or are these things you've done in the past, or?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I think all of those experiences maybe that you listed off, and I wasn't trying to be apprehensive about talking about that. I just didn't want to go into detail for protecting people's
Sure,
privacies
I
and
get
stuff
it.
like that.
No, I
Yeah,
figured
yeah.
that. I understand.
Yeah. But I think what's important about those things, a lot of those things were poets or people in the community, people who are older than me. You're talking a little bit more about like being younger in the community, getting free from addiction. Those are people who were looking out for me. Hey, I know I see something a little bit more in what you're doing. Why don't you come down and check this out? I can think about like poets like John Sands, who gave me a chance at this program at a needle exchange, and assisting at those workshops,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe leading my own and seeing that and helping me think about what I was doing with my life. Like there are those poets, and that helped a huge with my trajectory and thinking about how I think about how I work on my curriculums and my lesson plans, because like all of that, snowballs into thinking about like you don't just write, talking again about technical work and, feeling work, when I share poems and have students write, it's not just about the technical, it's about feeling. It's about like where they're coming from and trying to, how do you nurture someone who's just writing and pouring it out, and let's say it's not artistic, or how do you nurture, I hate that I just put that in quotes,
Well, I think
but how do you nurture that and keep wanting them, and it may not be your definition of artistic, but keep nurturing that and make it keep water, not stopping it and being like, no,
Right.
that's not how you do it.
Right.
No, keep doing it.
Sure.
And I think those things that you mentioned helped keep that moving.
Well, I would imagine,
not to pat myself on the back.
I would imagine there's a difference between being a professor at the colleges and then these other programs. The other programs is more about giving people a chance, and some of them maybe were in a bad place, and giving them a chance to express themselves and get out, difficult things, right?
Yeah.
That's actually a lot of what my writing was based on when I first started writing poetry.
Right.
It was trying to get stuff out, right?
Right.
And so in those instances, form, or tradition may be less important.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, I had a guest who was a musician, and he started a program that would go into prisons and do recordings with the prisoners, music recordings.
Yeah.
And again, the level can change, but the just an experience of having something like that to do might change a person's life.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, if somebody's in a difficult place, any kind of art, that might attract them to, be creative.
Yeah.
Could help.
Yeah.
So the classes you teach, you said build curriculum. How do you do that?
Well,
what are the classes that you teach, or are they specific, or they're your thing?
It depends on what it is, and for the poetry stuff that I do, so at the College of Staten Island recently, and at Wagner, the poetry stuff I get to choose, and I've been doing things like pop culture and poetry, but I've also been doing something having to do with grief. I have it. The poetry of good grief, which is about just finding, those small moments of gratitude or positivity in the grief that surrounds us, and whatever that grief is, whether it's a personal grief or the world at large, whatever we're dealing with, and not to be a therapist, but to just have conversations around the poetry. And to write around, do journals, have journal entries. The students keep journals with them, and to write about their own personal experiences around the poems that we write about. We have prompts. The students come up with prompts and give each other prompts, so it's never a one-sided thing.
Sure.
And then the pop culture and poetry, where you're dealing more with community college, where sometimes it's a little bit more challenging. You do poems that deal with pop culture. I have some great poems that are about Taylor Swift, but they're really something else. A great poem by Patrick Roche, which is really about identity, and it really allows those students who are I hate poetry, and it's really not about I have poems that are about Super Mario Brothers, that are not about video games,
sure.
and it's just about classism, and it's really great ways to just kind of we're not working on sonnets, we're working on poems that were written in the past 20 years, very current events, and just kind of that really, helps. So I try to do that. I had one class comic books and poetry, really having fun with it. Of course, I'm also teaching like elements of poetry,
Right.
like some theory, and like it doesn't.
Well, you're finding ways to connect with people who might not really
Exactly.
be that semi-interested in poetry.
Right,
or
right.
Not exposed to, I should say, not exposed to it a lot.
Right.
Although there's poetry where you don't think there is.
Right.
And I'm not going to make a judgment or a statement, but there's a good chance a lot of the students are into hip hop.
Right, and
So there's a lot of that is poetry.
you absolutely try to connect it with that too. There's a great
Sure.
anthology, the Breakbeat Poet Anthology,
Oh.
and they have 4 different volumes of poetry, and I use that too, and it's a fantastic
Right.
anthology that connects with that world, but also goes beyond that.
I mean, I remember taking English. It wasn't a poetry class in it was middle school, maybe the last grade in middle school, and the teacher was, he was taking music of the day.
Yeah.
And we studied like Sounds of Silence. I mean, it's, the 60s.
Yeah.
So
Great
Sounds
song,
of Silence, and there were two. There were two Paul, Simon and Garfunkel, and then the other one was oh God, what's that song? Anyway, it'll come to me. The Day the Music Died. I forget the guy's name now. I'm blanking. Don McLean.
Oh, Don McLean.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
But that's that was the culture of the day.
Yeah.
So you can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Now is what I'm trying to get at.
No, I mean, we used to do spoken word open mics, and I think maybe at Great Weather we did this. I know we did this specific ones like with Tom Waits, but we would do like open mics where you would have to read song lyrics as a
Right.
spoken word piece.
Sure. Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
We did a Tom Waits one. Like,
Well, Tom Waits writes great lyrics.
Yeah. He just released a spoken word song today.
Oh, did he?
Yeah,
All right,
The
I'll
Fly.
check it out. Yeah. Are you still into metal?
I am. Yeah. Yes. I just saw the Melvins this week.
Are the Melvins metal?
They're considered punk, metal, doom.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like
Because I saw the T-shirt, and I'm trying to think if I know of them. I'm trying to think if I know their music. I have to go check them out.
They're
later.
like slow and churning and
Okay.
ugly.
Right. Kind of toolish.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to read another poem?
Sure. All right. Let's see. What can I read? I will go with, since we talk so much about the college experience, and since I'm in a mommy mood, here we go. Course description: the poetry of good grief. I became a poet when my mother gave me her 1987 Nissan stanza and other elements of poetry she inadvertently passed down. She taught me that to criticize is to share, so I am a better editor than lecturer, and I will be navigating you through this course on good grief. Things can get better even if you don't. A parent's death will help you with your debt. When I lost her, I tried to find ways to speak to her. Her body frame hunched over like a crane, like a chair. I keep her bathrobe at my kitchen table, perched over, the overhead fan orbiting, the air conditioner swelling, your ghost breathing. It's taken a long time to notice how I've let you fade into my walls. The comfort of you is what I care about, just like when you were present. My mother is the first ghost I feel when I return home. When will I remove her from my kitchen? This class meets every Tuesday and Thursday at 11:10 in Foundation Hall. Bring a ghost bank, a light switch, and a pen.
Well, I love the ending. That's great. When did your mother pass away?
2023.
Okay, so fairly recent.
Yeah.
Are you living in the house that was hers?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Right.
We got rid of that.
Okay.
Sold it. But it was a very long and painful process, and it took years, and it was just, and we had a very strange relationship, but it was
In what way?
just I don't know. I feel like I've always been connected to my mother's mental health, her brain, my parents got divorced when I was 4, and I think somehow, for better or worse, I'm not trying to put something on my mom, but somehow, we shared something for a while, and she definitely dealt with her demons, and I saw a lot of that, so and felt a lot of it. So, but she was also a great person and an amazing person, and
Well, she's clearly had a
introduced
big
me
influence on your life.
to
Yeah.
a lot of things, and I write about her often.
Right.
So she is a part of me. Reading these poems today isn't an accident.
Right.
I'm feeling her.
Okay.
So,
Did she like your poetry? Did she go to your readings?
she didn't, and that's another thing though too. I kept that separate, and I don't know why. I have a tendency to, it's so easy for me. I'm talking a lot now. It's so easy for me to perform on stage, but sometimes, having a straight talk, but sharing in these moments,
Right. You're doing fine.
It's
man.
difficult.
Yeah, you're doing
Yeah,
fine.
all right.
Don't worry about it. You're doing great. Both my parents. So my mother died in 2014, and my father died in 2018. I actually started writing poetry around the time she was going through her last stages of life,
Gotcha.
and it was one of the reasons. It was between both my parents over that stretch. They lived into the 90s, so they were healthy up until towards the end of their lives. But it was that, and then some other personal dealings and issues that were difficult. So I felt a lot of stress, and writing just got it out of me. And a lot of it was more personal. And then I realized, I like the process of writing, and I like telling stories, but it doesn't always have to be my story.
Right.
Or I could put a feeling, like you ever get like a feeling, and I don't have a specific one, and it triggers a poem.
Yeah.
But the poem isn't really necessary. It winds up being something else, but it's the birth of it was through a way you were feeling at a particular moment.
Right. I mean, I also think, I agree with what you're saying, but I also, and this is something I've kind of realized also, like all these mommy poems, I think are also access points, because to reveal, and again, when I say this is going to sound like a load of shit too, because I'm making, my poems sound more headier than they are. But, I think these poems reveal other truths besides them being about mommy. They're about other things. And,
Sure.
and writing about my mom is just a way to get there.
Well,
and,
most things are have more than one meaning.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But just me writing about, that's just how I got, that's just how I started the thought. But they just turn into, the poem that I just, to me, like, even though the Staten Island poem, to me, it's a poem about Staten Island, like, and where I'm from. And yes, my mom is in that because she brought me to Staten Island, she brought me here.
But I don't think somebody listening to that poem
and
can't find something. I mean, it's so Staten Island, but that could be somewhere else.
Yeah, there's also self-harm in there. There's also there's a lot of mental health stuff in there. Like there's, so there's a lot of things happening. But yeah, they could find their other things, and I don't mean to tell or give away what I think my poem means, because it could mean ice cream tomorrow. So
So you live near the they call that the promenade by the water?
Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great thing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's been very good for me.
Right.
Yeah, and helpful.
Yeah, it must be nice to make a place to walk and sit and look at the city and.
Yeah,
Do you just go there, sit there, and write poetry there?
I sit there, I walk there, I think
Yeah.
there. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
It's been relaxing too. Like anxiety is something that like I'm anxious all the time. That's why I brought the beer here. Sorry.
Sorry you couldn't
I
open
brought
them
beer.
up.
I could have drank.
To be honest with you, I was looking at those cans thinking, man, I could go for a slug.
Yeah. And but having that, that's just a privilege to have that, and I know how privileged I am to have that. Just feels like it really helps. Just looking at that water, and it calms me. So it's
Sure.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still have so? Does recovery, is that a subject in your poetry also?
Yeah. And I've actually brought that back into my poetry because of something that I think that's really progressive that Staten Island is doing right now is the, shout out to Vanessa Renee Michael, the public health vending machines that are happening there starting on Staten Island. I don't know if you know what those are.
No, I don't.
Those have their public health vending machines that have like free Narcan kits in them.
Wow.
And like I think reusable needle, like stuff like if you just
that's
like,
pretty
not reusable needles, fresh, like
sure.
stuff that you.
Well, that's pretty progressive.
Yeah, like
for any place.
Yeah. I don't know if it has needles in them, but I know
needle exchange.
Yeah, needle exchange. Excuse me, that's what I meant to say.
Sure.
Thank you for that access to that. But I think it's a really important thing. I think it's a step in the right direction, because I think access doesn't lead to excess. Maybe in the beginning it does, but it helps you realize, oh shit, this isn't working, or it just I don't know. I just don't think access leads to excess. I think it helps you figure shit out, or
Right.
it keeps you healthy until you figure shit out. So.
Well, I would imagine having, it's our view of mental health and addictions are not, for the most part in this country, are not helpful
Yeah.
to people that are in those bad places. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. And there are some people who just do that who aren't even causing any harm or.
Right.
Yeah.
But let's face it, any one of us can wind up in those kind of places, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So I hate the judgment of that. What else would you like to read? What else do you got there in that pile of papers?
All right. I guess I could read since we're on that space. All right. Captain Ahab gets swallowed by a public health vending machine. The office building was angry that day, and what is best is often mistaken for beast, and time is often mistaken as walls. An addict is often mistaken as whale. Vending spirits is a sad dance on an adult playground. When you find yourself in the bowels of it, the chance of it, the change of, you wonder who is for taking, who is for choosing, who is for saving, and what is for spitting back up into a new day of living. As someone who has been swallowed up by addiction and made their way through Ahab's speeches, it is important to note that access does not equate to excess. Access does not equate to excess. It's how recovery begins.
Yeah, you just said what you just kind of tied a bow around the subject we just talked about. Yeah. Do you go to groups?
No, I mean I did.
Yeah.
But
So how many years?
So I would say since 2010, 2011.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Good for you,
Thank
man.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you were going through that, were you? So you were you were in the poetry scene when it was happening.
I was in the poetry scene when it was happening, and I was definitely not. I mean, I'm sure I was out of control, but I wasn't like, it was. I guess I was out of control, but not out of control like I was harming anyone or anything, just harming myself.
Right.
And I was also working in retail and doing that for full time for a long time, so that was also just harming me because that's just a horrible, horrible world and just saying.
What kind of
"Hi, how you
retail?"
doing?" I was working at PacSun and
What's that?
Pacific Sunwear. It's a clothing store.
Oh, okay.
And we had a store in Sixth and Way, and then in New Jersey. And it was just a mind
No,
working in
because
a
just
mall
the way you
was
said that.
horrible.
Because I was a chef, and then the company I was a chef for decided they didn't want a chef anymore. They were just going to buy everything. So
Yeah.
I stayed on as a counter person or barista.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like to deal with the public. It's It's challenging.
It's just a whole other different performance. Like,
Right.
it's like a whole other slam poem. But
My problem is there are some people that are my customers that think I'm the greatest ever, and I've even had people say things don't run as good when I'm not there.
right.
Because my strength is running the thing, but if I find somebody irritating, I have a tough time
Right.
hiding the fact.
Right. No,
And you can't do that.
I think I think I was always able to hide it. I think I was the problem. I was part of I was just a cog in the machine, and I was just doing a lot of it just wasn't good.
You're starting to sound Pink Floyd over there.
Yeah.
Another brick in the wall.
Yeah. And it wasn't. But that wasn't I was the problem. I'm not trying to blame it on that. Having a full-time job is good.
Right.
And,
It's not, but retail's not for everybody.
Yeah.
And dealing with the public,
Yeah.
you know.
And it was great to have poetry as an outlet, and I did have a lot of people on all the scenes that I feel like I was a part of. Everyone has always cared about me,
Yeah,
and has
that's
been
great.
very nurturing to me.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way. I'm
Right.
saying it in the most thank you and
Well,
gratitude.
even if you were going through a difficult time and
Yeah.
you felt like you weren't who you wanted to be, you must have made a good impression enough
Yeah.
that they cared.
Yeah, and you always try to pass that forward as
Right.
best as you can.
Yeah. So I usually read one of my poems.
Yeah, please do.
I have to admit, I'm going to be a little. I hope you're not going to grade my poetry.
Yes.
Can you take your professor hat off?
I'm going to put it on, actually.
Oh no. Okay, I hope I picked a good one. This one's called Blue U. I know he's dead. I watched as they lowered his casket 6 feet under, and we all took turns throwing flowers on his casket. I know he shot himself in the temple. It was written on the coroner's report, in simple terms without feeling, the coldness of sober and last right. He was a mess of a person, and we all joked about it like it was normal to be that way. But there was no warning he would kill himself, or no one was paying close enough attention. I see him sitting next to me in my car. I see him defend himself from my slaps because he was being an asshole, yet all he could do was laugh. I see him in the kitchen drinking a beer, the fourth or the fifth he had in an hour, with a cigarette dangling from his mouth that never seemed to go out. His heavy, irregular footsteps loudly ascending the stairs, the thump of his body as he falls into bed way past a decent hour. I avoid looking into his bloodshot morning eyes or his nicotine-stained fingers as he pries open a can of V8, mixing it with some Stoli and spices to drink down the hair of the dog. It was his way of preparing for a new day that he didn't want. I watch him walk out of the kitchen. I hear the side door open and his car pull out of the garage, screeching tires etched forever in my mind like a bad movie I wish I hadn't watched. I never see him again, except naked on a cold steel table under a swinging fluorescent light with a sheet over his dead naked body, his eyes open and staring at nothing, his skin the color of a blue hue I didn't know existed. I am there to identify his body. I am there because I am next of kin. I am there because I didn't know he needs saving. I'm there because he didn't have the courage to say he did out loud.
Wow.
So I get inspired from all kinds of different things. Do you watch the show? What's it called? The Bear. The show about the chefs. Yeah. It was Richie was talking about when he was in the car with Michael, and Michael was being an asshole, and he slapped him, and he broke down in his car thinking about when that happened. So just that element, I changed it up and made it this.
So is it about the bear?
No.
Or is it about a specific story in your life, or is it about a story you made up?
It's about a story I made up, influenced by that one that one little scene in the show.
Got you.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned this before, and you seemed to, because I know I had approached you in Brooklyn and been like, I really like that poem you read, and and you had said that wasn't about me, and I thought it was about.
Oh, the one
you.
about was it the burlesque?
Yeah.
But you're not the first person to do that.
Yeah. You seem to write more. I don't want to say you seem to write more persona pieces.
Yeah.
But taking on a fictional persona, maybe someone we don't know.
Yes.
Just like, how do you feel about wearing that? You seem to like wearing a mask all the time, for lack of a better phrasing.
Well, okay, so sometimes there is elements of me in these stories. There could be.
Yeah.
In this case, no, it was an element of somebody else's story.
Okay.
So I view myself as a storyteller.
Okay.
Writing poetry, and more about hardships and not always. I mean, I try not to. Like if I'm doing a set of poetry and at a poetry reading, I don't want every one of them to be like this. I don't want people to think,
right.
That's all I know is trauma and stuff. But I feel like those are the stories that maybe need to be told, and they're more interesting than, for some reason, for me, than something that's necessary. Like I don't find, for me, it's hard for me to write just a real happy piece. Not to say that I don't, and not to say none of my pieces are funny, but I feel like there's a lot of trauma in the world.
Right.
And somehow writing about it gets it out a little bit, or
Yeah.
And I try to I think there are a lot of forgotten people too, because I have stories about homeless people. I have stories about different people in different tough places in life.
Right.
So
yeah.
But that was great. It's a good question. We still have time for more of your poetry if you'd like to read something.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then after you read something, maybe we'll just talk about what we didn't talk about that's important to you in your life.
Okay.
If there is such a thing. And did being in a punk band help your poetry? Or music, because music is a big influence in my poetry.
Yeah, I definitely like mentioning the Melvins, Mike Patton. I think music, like writing lyrics, being in a punk band, definitely like, I think how I moved then is still in my head when I'm on stage.
Sure.
I think the musicality of something, like how I read or perform, I think I'm looking for a melody that maybe I could only hear, which I think is important. I think I kind of think the poet voice, I think I use that and exaggerate it to an obnoxious or to my advantage,
right,
as opposed to other people who do the poet voice but do it on every, like I can't explain it. I think
well, you have your own poet voice, really. I don't feel like you're yeah.
I think, which I know everyone has their feeling about this. When I started doing slam poetry, I don't do it currently, but when I did that also helped me with
I could hear it in your delivery.
Redirecting
Sure.
some of that cadence too, and that really helped me out a lot too, with performing.
Right. Cool. So
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe this will help with the mommy question. What I've done with the connection with my mom and taking more accountability.
Okay.
Attachment. For a long time, I went to my mom's psychiatrist appointments after the divorce. Slept on the floor of her room until I was 11. Was a part of the glories, the woes, and the mania. So when I was 15 and she got cancer, I got it too. At least that's what I told myself, wanting to be depressed. That is what I told others, wanting to be depressed. At 49 years old, is this something that I still do?
Yeah. So that's true. You went with your mother to her appointments?
Yeah, and just, I think, but not only that, I think I sometimes took on traits of my mother.
Well, that's sure.
What is that all about?
Did you spend a lot of time with her?
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I don't know how
Did
to
your sister
explain
have this kind of connection?
My sister is from my dad's second marriage.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So you didn't live.
So
with,
I didn't live.
So you lived.
I love my sister. I'm close to my sister. I just that is a separate thing.
So that's why it was just you and your mom.
So it's just me and my mom.
Right.
So it's that connection. So I feel like there's a web.
Well, that's
there.
a big thing.
Yeah.
And your father moved out.
Yeah.
Right. So makes sense that you spend so much time with your mother.
Yeah.
Right. And was she having a lot of? I mean, because somebody could go to therapy or a psychiatrist, and just be trying to improve themselves. But was she having a lot of difficulties?
No, she on and off. My mom's a great person, and she did great things, and she was a single mom and took care of what she needed to do. But there were just these crazy, erratic moments or periods of time.
Right.
Like anyone who knows dealing with someone with mental health, there are periods of time where it can get out of control, and then those periods of time, then there's periods of time where it's the greatest thing in the world, and everything's roses, and then there's periods of time.
Did this have a factor into what happened with you in your life later?
Yes and no. I think I went into life unchecked with my own mental health, not getting therapy when I needed it.
Right.
And then when I got therapy, I was told certain things that I think it was, and then getting a psychiatrist. I think I was being told things to get on medication that I don't think I needed.
Right.
But I also think I was also just doing drugs. I think there was just a lot of things when I was trying to do all that didn't work out. And I think I was just getting a lot of wrong information. And I think I take accountability for that. I don't think it was anyone's fault but mine. But I don't... but I think the drug stuff, I take accountability for. I don't put that on my mother. I put it on me.
Well, yeah, I didn't mean put it on your mother, but
Yeah.
Anyway, what have we not talked about that's important to you? And do you have anything coming up you want to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, the things that are important to me are poetry on Staten Island. There's so much happening on Staten Island that we are trying to do poetry-wise. That not only myself, there are other great organizers like Matt Figgs, Cynthia Rodriguez, Gabriella Stella.
Are you involved with the readings? Or?
Yeah, just doing great things. And, Staten Island, it's so difficult because, the other boroughs, there's always a reading happening. In Staten Island, it's not like that. So when you have people who are, Maya the poet, when you have people who are just so, on Staten Island, who are so dedicated to doing things on Staten Island that's like really like.
Well, it would
so
make sense.
important.
Why would you? It would be great if you had it in your own community. You didn't have to travel to the other boroughs.
Right. Oh no,
Yeah.
I think you should travel to the other boroughs, but I think the other boroughs should travel to Staten
Right,
Island.
right.
Not holding you to any flame, Pete. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
that's something that the other boroughs should do.
Sure.
And we are doing something September 26th at the Staten Island Urban Center, which is an amazing place, which is literally 7 minutes from the ferry. It's called Poetry in Motion. We have these poets from around the 5 boroughs paired with videographers, and they make all these videos.
That's cool.
Poetry videos, and we premiere them. And we have these youth poets who do these 1-minute shorts, and it's just like a great time.
sounds
it's
like a
all
great
free.
event. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
we
what
have a lot
time
of
is
cool
that?
things. That is 8 to 10. And then we do something at Ferry Hawk Stadium. You know what Ferry Hawk Stadium?
I
the
don't.
Staten Island Yankees.
Oh, okay.
That's right at the ferry too.
Sure,
that
sure.
huge
I didn't know that was the
stadium.
name of it. And the Yankees left.
Yeah.
What's it being
Oh,
used
yeah. So
what's it being used
it's
for
the
now?
Staten Island Ferry Hawks. So that's
Oh,
what
okay.
it is.
So still a
yeah,
baseball
and it's
team.
used for all these things. But anyway, we do a poetry open mic there once a year where we're on the field.
Get out of here.
You do your voice through the
Whoa.
PA.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And that's September 6th, and that's like 5 to 7, and that's free, and like, you know, it's a lot of fun. So.
Jeez, it must be fun to be on the
Yeah. So I'm selling you
Is it in
things
on the
now.
infield, or where do they put it?
We put it on the infield, so you
Yeah.
go right at home plate.
Sure.
And you got
holy,
you
that's
go right
great.
there, yeah. So
Is there a 7th inning stretch?
that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome with the Star Spangled Banner.
Do you have any publications coming out? Or?
Not me personally, but I do something with Old Town Press, which is Staten Island, called Drop a Single series, which is we do these limited chapbooks of one poem. A poet pairs himself with an artist. We just did Billy Tuggle mural.
Right.
We just do 45 copies of each book. We're in the world of AI right now, so we make these limited edition numbered books. The poet gets 35 of them. They do. They do whatever they want with them. And then we keep 10 of them, and then we'll give them away once the poet's done with them. We just did Emmanuel Xavier's. We're going to do LJ Snyder's next. So hers will be out hopefully in August. And then every month we're just going to roll out a new poet.
It's a fun project, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun project. And again, just so we don't have to worry about AI, just these limited edition things. And that's
So what else was I going to ask you before we go? How can people find you?
Instagram at Thomas Fucaloro, Facebook.
Maybe spell it out.
Fucaloro.
We'll put it. Well, it'll be. It'll be on the head and the beginning and the end of your episode of the episode.
But those are the only places really you could find me. I'm sure you could find my books if you just Google me on Amazon or don't go to Amazon. Go to the actual publishers. Three Rooms Press.
How come you didn't put your books in your bio?
Did I not?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know.
That's why I asked you about publications. I didn't see any
Did I not put my books in? I have like
Well,
2 full lengths and
I
4 or
figured you
5
would.
chapbooks.
Well, what are the names of it
starts from the belly and it starts from the belly and blooms. That's from 3 Rooms Press. You could check out right now. The only gardening I do is when I give up. That's from Finishing Line Press. You can definitely check that out. And I think that's it. The other chapbooks you would just have to get, or just contact me and I can.
All right. Well, so I had a feeling. I should have asked you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I figured you've been doing this for so long and you're such a good poet. You must have had publications.
Yeah. The others you can get from me because the other presses, I believe, have disbanded. Yes.
Right. But there are ways to get your full length
Yes.
books. Okay, so now we're going to get the theme song here, which means we've come to a close with Storytelling on Orchard Street. I'm your host, Pete Salamina, and again, our guest was Thomas Fucaloro. It's been great having you here, and look forward to working with you in other ways in the future and hearing you read again somewhere. So for Storytelling on Orchard Street, thank you all for getting this far into the show. We hope you enjoyed our conversation.